What's up, everybody?
What's
What's up? Are you
yeah.
ready to rumble? We're getting
Yeah.
into the Bible study. Dun,
Yeah.
dun.
I'm gonna go ahead and throw my disclaimer out there real quick. I found a baby cat yesterday outside in the cold, in the dark.
Oh.
And it's really cold today and it was supposed to rain, so I took her in. I'm trying to find her a home. But for now, she's on my lap. And she might be crying throughout this live. But she's a baby. She has to be 6 months, I think, 6 or 7 months. But just a disclaimer, I do have another animal on my lap. You guys are used to that though. So
A bonus. A bonus little baby. Yeah.
she's kind of cute. The hospital keeps calling me to take my flu shot.
Oh, goodness gracious. What? Hold on. Since when do they call people to keep calling them to take a flu shot? What?
Girl, I figure out this is new
That's advanced.
because
I
I
can't lie.
haven't I haven't taken a flu shot since 2019, and they've never called me, but they've been calling me back to back. I think they called me twice yesterday, and they texted me twice.
That's aggressive for a flu shot. And I haven't taken my flu shots either in years, and I don't plan to honestly.
Yeah, me either.
Like it's
That's why
unnecessary.
I'm like, why they pressing, bro?
Yeah, that's sketch. Mm-mm.
Anyways, unless there's something else you want to say, you got any
I
disclaimers, Mariah?
I mean, no, I don't think I have any disclaimers. I mean, there was this whole thing yesterday, y'all. Had a whole conversation with a homeless person. Um, that was wild. I'm not gonna get too much in the detail, but I
Did you
think
learn anything?
yeah, I'm gonna say like what came in my head was the one little scripture that came in my head was God created everybody in his own image, meaning like for me it was just more so like, treat everybody the way you want to be treated. Um, you know, don't just judge somebody abruptly and, treat them kind of with respect, you know what I'm saying? Especially if they haven't done anything to disrespect you, and just keep an open mind. And sometimes, somebody might just want to have a conversation, maybe they didn't talk to anybody all day.
Yeah.
Um, just stuff like that. And I guess the wild part was that his name was Lleo, and it was mind blowing because two people in my life that I really care about, my nephew Leo and Leo right here, y'all. I'm like, wait, what?
It's a bunch of
Leo.
Leos. We out here.
It was a lot of Leos action in my head. I was like, wow, that's crazy. So it kind of affirmed that, treat everybody, kind of equally. They haven't done anything to you,
Yeah.
you know. And at the end of the day, we're all people and we're all connected.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
for
it.
sure. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
You know, I was debating if I should say this, but I'm not. I'll just say, I'll just say,
You can
it's
go on
it's a
that.
blessing. You say what?
Like, oh, I don't know what you was gonna say, but I was like, you left us on a cliffhanger like that. But go
I
ahead.
know. That's why I was debating, but I'm gonna just say it's a blessing when you can run into strangers, and they look like they're lower or beneath you, like homeless people or you know crack addicts or something like that, and you're able to learn a lesson from them from conversation. Like
Yeah,
that's what I kind of reflect and think on when you say that God makes everyone in their own image.
yeah,
Because it's like, okay, physically they look like, it makes me think about Jesus too, right? Like physically they look like they ain't nothing, they ain't really about it, but you just never know once you hold a conversation how much you can learn, you know,
yeah,
even just
yep,
from a different perspective that you've never seen before.
yes.
Mm.
And they kind of get your mind to start, yeah, you're right. Like your mind start having some deeper reflections. Then you start asking yourself different questions for sure. That's definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. It was just, yeah, it was really interesting. Just really interesting.
But okay. So we're starting. Are you sure we're in 22, Mariah? Because I think we're in 21.
Um, you see the end of this paragraph?
Oh no, we did read this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why it looks different. I'm in a different book.
Oh, okay. And then
Okay.
remember, guys, if you don't have a Bible, you can get it right on your phone for free. English that call the Bible. Find the English Standard Version. We're
Yes.
in Exodus chapter 22.
I'll do a quick recap. Or do you want to?
No, ma'am, you can go ahead.
Okay. So 21 was basically about the laws for slaves. And I've actually been thinking about this.
Mm,
And I'm glad we're coming back to it. And so there's a bunch of different laws. One of the laws is, let me see. What the first law was, when you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, and then the seventh he shall go out free for nothing.
mm,
And so I kind of took that, you guys know, my mind is always trying to expand and grow and look at things in a different perspective. Not saying that, the old traditional way, like the way it's written, is wrong. But I believe over time, not that nothing has changed in the Bible, but our perspective on what is in the Bible has to change because we just don't know everything. Over time, as we learn and grow, we
mm-hmm,
gain more wisdom. And so, I was kind of looking at this first one as like, working in the work field, when you buy a slave, um, it's kind of like, it's not buying, but it's kind of like, I kind of look at working as like, you kind of slaving over something, right?
mm-hmm.
You kind of making yourself uncomfortable for a cause, for someone else's cause.
Someone
But
gain.
yeah, but basically, I was just thinking like, when you choose a job, you should choose a job in expectation to work that job at least 6 years.
Mm,
That's kind of what I was thinking,
mm.
which put a lot in perspective for me. Because I'll tell you right now, like I'll work a job for a year, maybe a year and a half, and if I ain't feeling it, I'm out of there. Like that year and a half was good enough.
She hit that that Bugs Bunny.
For real. The road runner. Meep meep.
Yeah, the Road Runner. That's really what I was trying to do. That's funny.
Another
Um,
one of the were you gonna say something?
well, I was just gonna say too, like that makes sense, especially as we're getting older. Like we don't have time to waste. So, I recently told a lady too. I'm like, I'm trying to build my business. I wouldn't mind trying to, if I need to work, then I pick a place that looks like I can build into and grow. So, I had to explain that to her because really on my resume, it kind of seemed like I'm more about the business right now in my life. And but I'm like, to reassure her, I'm like, but I do want to set one foot in the company to grow with, to kind
Mhm.
of build my way up and learn.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, as we're getting older, we ain't got time to be wasting at these little jobs. We need to, hopefully you can find somebody like a mentor at that job, or somebody to shadow where you can learn from. You look at them, you're like, wow, there's a lot of things like skills that she has that I feel like it could be a benefit to me.
Yeah.
And kind of just think like that, like you got to start building, you got to start kind of just stepping up to the plate for real, for real.
Yeah.
Had a lot of
Yeah.
realizations in that interview. I can't lie.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's awesome, Mariah. Good luck with your interview. I hope everything goes well. If
Oh
not, at least you got knowledge. So for future interviews,
yeah.
they're just gonna get better.
Mhm.
Awesome. Another rule, another law for slaves was for female slaves and male slaves. They're not the same. And so for female slaves, um, for female slaves, basically she's being sold as like a servant to her master. So this kind of makes me think about marriage in a way,
Mm.
where it's like when you come together with your spouse is really to be like, so you're supposed to serve them, they're supposed to serve you, and you're both supposed to serve your children. That's kind of how I think of marriage, right? But they're saying specifically with us with the women, like if the woman gets sold off to a servant, or she gets sold off as a slave, um, and she doesn't please her master, um, then he's supposed to allow her time to redeem herself. So, and I was thinking of this as if like wait, hold on. Um, he's supposed to give her time to redeem herself. He's also doesn't have the right to resell her, um, if he has broken faith. So if he goes out of the contract and sleeps around, he can't just sell her off. Um, and um, and he can save her for his son, but if he does that, then he has to treat her as a daughter. Or if he goes and finds a different wife, he can't treat her any less than a wife. He's not supposed to treat her any less than a wife. And oh, that's what I was thinking of. It makes me think about like, just the concept of raising a woman, honestly, in marriage, And I don't think it's so much oppressing. I don't think it's so much oppressing, but I do believe that there's a layer of, teaching women the value of womanhood, you know, even as a woman servant, because we're all servants in a way, right? So even as a servant, if you're going and you're serving another man or you're serving a company or whatever the situation is, that I just think it speaks on, as a woman, you shouldn't be allowing people to treat you less than, you don't deserve that treatment. And then as a man, you shouldn't be treating women less than. That's kind of how I take that.
Yeah.
Um, another another one of the laws was, you know, if anybody strikes a man and he dies, that person should be put to death. And so, which that just makes me think of, a life for a life. You know, it's just kind of like it's like the law of equivalent exchange, which I talk about a lot.
Mhm.
So, in order to gain something, something must be lost. If you take someone's soul, you must give another soul in exchange for it to be an equal exchange. That's kind of how I took that.
Yeah.
That's kind of deep with it, but that can be applied. I forget what it's called. I forget the name that I'm thinking of, but that basically that can be applied to anything, you know, not just like a life. Like for example, it's just proper etiquette. If I give you, um, you know, something valuable like some jewelry, and you go and lose the jewelry, it's only proper that you go and replace that jewelry
Mm.
that you lost. So, um,
Got me thinking about though. I know this is not part of it, but that got me thinking about though, like people like who have killed people or killed several people. Like I wonder mentally, spiritually, kind of like what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
what's the mind, what's the feelings, like how do you love another person when you've done that? Like mm, that just make me think about that.
mm,
Like oof,
yeah.
like something's missing, like things are messed up, like oof.
I think it would be more like, you know, you got this guilt that you carry in subconsciously, you know,
Probably having
that makes it hard to move past it.
hmm
It's like a bind.
yeah.
But I also think spiritually, you know, if you kill somebody, that person kind of is going to haunt you because you're the one that seen their face last
Mm,
before they soul left their body.
yeah. And you watch them take their last breath type stuff probably.
Hmm.
Yeah. But okay.
So another one, I'm gonna move faster with these, but you know, there was whoever strikes his father and mother should be put to death. Whoever steals a man and sells him shall be put to death. Whoever curses his father and mother should be put to death. Basically, there's a lot of put to death. You know,
Yeah.
um, there was some things about, you know, if you have animals that are aggressive, and you know that animal's aggressive, and that animal goes and kills somebody, that that animal will be put to death, and you will also be put to death for knowing that it was aggressive. Um, and then there was some for redemption too, like what's this? When one man's ox so it dies, then they shall and the dead and the dead beast also they shall share. So basically, like for redemption, if your animals get into a fight or you get into a fight and something dies but something lives, the thing that killed the other one has to be sold, and you share the profits off of that, and then the one that died, y'all have to share responsibility for whatever you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
That was 21.
Yeah. And
And
like
that
the
wasn't all the laws, but that was a lot of them.
yeah. But I was just gonna say too, like, it was pretty what's the word? Like civil. It was pretty
Hmm.
civil, the laws, and the redemption. Like
Yeah.
it made sense. Like, okay, like yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They were pretty fair, I believe, too.
yeah, pretty fair. Yep. Okay. Should I lead us into prayer or did you want to?
I could lead us.
Okay.
Divine Father and Mother, thank you for hosting us and gathering us here today on a Monday. I know it's Monday. Lord, I just pray for some energy for us all. You know, give us strength, give us wisdom, give us guidance as we go throughout the last month in the year, as we're closing out 2023 and entering into 2024. Lord, I just pray. I pray for your people in this time right now that um, that you provide us the time and the resources necessary to really sit in reflection, excuse me, of our goals and our values as we move forward, um, and really analyzing the things that are helping us to achieve our goals, helping us to reach them, and letting go of the things that are truly holding us back so that we can walk fully in purpose, so we can walk closer to you throughout 2024. Um, and Lord, I just pray for anyone who may be going through affliction and anyone who may be going through hardship. I just pray. I pray for strength for them people. I pray for true service for them, that they may be able to gain the resources necessary to get themselves out of that situation, um, and the knowledge to not put themselves back in that situation. Um, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. All right, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. It seemed like this is the first time it ain't had a chapter. It must be a continuing
What do you
part of the
mean?
chapter 22.
It don't have a chapter.
It don't have a title. Usually they all have a title, remember?
Oh, yeah. There's some. There have been some of them that don't have a title.
Oh, shoot.
But yeah, maybe it is continuing.
Yeah.
It looks like the low key.
Yeah. I'll start us off. Um if a man steals an ox or a sheep and kills it or sells it, he shall repay 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. Oh, that got intense. It sounds like it's doing like times two, like a lot. Like they got to do a lot more.
Yeah. Also, if you steal and kill, or steal and sell, then you gotta repay like more than double the amount of what you stole or
Yeah.
killed.
Yep. To probably prompt people to not do it because they'll have to give up more than what they intended for
Yeah.
whatever.
So it looks. You know what that rang. It looks like it's always a losing situation to steal. It looks like you just came up. It looks like you just came up, but really you just dug yourself a deeper hole.
Mm,
If you think you got something, you like, let's say, okay, they're talking about sheep or ox. Let's say you actually went and stole something very valuable from somebody,
mm-hmm.
and you go and sell it for a mill. You think you came up, but if you get caught, once you get caught, ain't no if. Once you get caught, that's like at least 3 mil that you
You
got to
in,
return back.
you in debt. Like you
Yeah,
worse off than when you started.
for real.
You worse off than what you started. So basically, don't do anything for money that isn't ethical. You know.
Yeah. I was trying to think there's a verse in the Bible, but I don't know where it is or how it says it. But I think it says something like, money is the root of all evil.
Mm,
And I think, I listened to this guy named Myron Golden when he talks about it. He explains it very well.
mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily saying to possess money means that you're evil. It's more so like people will do any and everything. If you're not
Right.
moving in integrity, people will do any and everything to achieve money,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm
And
glad you.
so don't put yourself in that position.
Mhm.
Move with your integrity.
I like that. I'm glad you said that and clarified that because I was like, money ain't the root of all evil, but like you said, the people who don't have the integrity and their morals and values and stuff intact, then it gets dangerous.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Um, if a thief is found breaking in and is struck so that he dies, there shall be no blood guilt for him. Oh, okay. So I don't know why I lost the word. Um, what is it when you get in a fight and you pull out a gun? It's self defense. So self defense is okay. There is no shame if you got to kill somebody because you're doing self defense, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
but
that's like the actual law here in Wisconsin too. Like if somebody break into your house, like you got all the right, if they end up dying, that was them. They messed up.
yeah, but if the sun has risen on him, there shall be blood guilt for him.
Wait, where are you?
3.
Oh, okay, I
He
see.
That's weird. But if the sun has risen on him, there shall be no blood guilt for him.
There shall be blood guilt for him. Wait,
This is talking about morning. If the sun has risen, like it's
and if
early.
the thief is found breaking in and is struck so that he dies, there shall be no blood guilt for him. But if the sun is on him, risen on him, there shall be blood guilt.
I wonder if they just mean like if it's in the daytime, like if there's light and you can see type of deal. Like I don't know. I don't know. There's probably some type of deeper meaning in that.
Mm,
But I'm gonna keep reading. We can adjourn back if you can think of anything.
yeah.
He shall surely pay. If he has nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the stolen beast is found alive in his possession, whether it is an ox or a donkey or a sheep, he shall pay double. Um,
Mm,
if a man causes a field or vineyard to be grazed over, or lets his beast loose and it feeds in another man's.
wait, wait. Oh, wait.
Mm,
So is this kind of saying something like, so if a thief comes in and breaks in and he's caught and somebody hits him and he dies, there's no guilt for his death. But if he's not caught, or if he's caught as the sun is rising, then he's guilty, or he should, or is it saying that he should be put to death? Mhm.
You're talking about on 2, verse 2?
Yeah,
If
still
he,
trying to get, because I thought maybe if we kept reading, it would
mm-hmm,
give us more context. And that's kind of because it sounds like if the sun comes up and he didn't die,
mm-hmm.
maybe he would be to
Oh,
blamed for some death. Like he's got to pay somehow.
so hold on.
Like he's got to pay somehow. So like if he's caught during the day, like when the sun comes up, if he's caught and he's caught with nothing, then he just has to be sold for his theft. But if he's caught actually stealing something, um, he has to pay double of what he stole. So I think when they say, for three, when they say, but if the sun rises, if the sun has risen on him, there shall be blood guilt for him. I feel like that's saying, you know, um, if he goes, if he goes and he gets caught during the day, um, and he didn't die, he's gonna be charged as if he killed something.
I'm also confused now. We don't read this so much that I'm just confused. So, um, there shall be no blood guilt for him. Are they talking about the dude who had the intention to rob the house? Or are they talking about the person who would kill this man, like who owns the house? Like the victim.
I think they're talking about the thief because they not.
Okay.
I think they're talking about the thief because they said if he breaks in and is struck so that he dies, there shall be no blood guilt for him. Maybe it could be
This
talking
is
about
a tongue
somebody else.
this is low key a tongue twister, y'all. If you read this verse on 22 Exodus verse 2 and you reread this paragraph, y'all, it gets like it.
It's making me think it's a parable, honestly. Like, it's so simple, but maybe we're complicating it.
Well, one thing I took off is it sound like on verse about the sun going down type stuff is that if he doesn't get caught with nothing, but he had the intention of stealing, like he's still gonna get punished because he had the intention of robbing that house.
Yeah,
If he gets caught before any violence is erupted.
yeah. That's what that's what I think I was trying to say before too. Like,
Oh,
even if he was even if he was caught without anything, he's still gonna get charged as if he was stealing because of that intention, like you said.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna reread 5. Um, if a man causes a field or a vineyard to be grazed over, or lets his beast loose and it feeds in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best in his own field and in his own vineyard. So that one kind of sound like if somebody comes in and grazes over his land or those animals, eat his land of food, the people that whoever gets caught, they're gonna have to give up their own, the best of their own items, which I find
To
it,
replace that.
yeah, whatever
Hmm.
they got, they're gonna have to do an exchange of the best,
Yeah.
whatever of they got. Um, if a fire breaks out and catches its thorns so that the stacked grain or the standing grain or the field is consumed, he who started the fire shall make full restitution. That's interesting. That won't make sense, but
What is restitution?
it sounds like um to come to an agreement, like
The act the
payment.
act of giving back something that has been stolen or lost.
Mhm. Basically like uh shoot, run that paycheck through. Basically.
Oh, so this one's talking about destruction. So if you do something that causes mass destruction
Mhm.
to like a like okay, I'll just say mass destruction. So you do something that causes mass destruction, you have to restore what was lost and stolen
Yeah.
or destroyed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And it sounds like they're probably gonna be in debt, so they're probably gonna have to be another way they're gonna have to pay for that.
yeah, yeah. Probably. I mean, it sounds like a lot of these things. Potentially you're going to be in debt because I think about if you're stealing, you probably not stealing just for the joy fun of it. You're probably stealing because you need it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're stealing and you get caught stealing, you probably already in debt or about to be in debt, which is going to put you even more in debt. And
Yeah.
then like something like this, it just sounds like either you was being either you were being um what's the word? Um like you weren't paying attention or you were just being too nonchalant, not caring about your work or whatever, or maybe it was intentional that you started this fire. Uh, if you did it on purpose and you ain't got the ways to um what I thought about? I'm
What?
stopped in the middle of my sentence. It made me think about like how people burn down their buildings to get the insurance claim. That's kind of what
Yeah.
I thought about.
I mean, it could be, right? They could have a setup. They could set somebody up just to get paid.
Yeah,
Could. They very well could.
yeah,
Yeah, it'd be crazy. Mm, mm, mm. Well, I was also thinking too, if somebody did this on purpose, it'd be because of like ego, jealousy or envy, or, maybe they're just mad with this person and they want a revenge.
yeah.
That came in my head.
I can see that too.
Okay. Let's see what the next one is. Um, if a man gives to his neighbor money or goods to keep safe, and it is stolen from the man's house, then if the thief is found, he shall pay double. If the thief is not found, the owner of the house shall come near to God to show whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's property.
Huh.
Okay. That one's interesting.
So, well, the first thing that I caught was once again they're repeating things, and
Mm.
so basically, like if you steal anything, this is just affirmations at this point. If you steal anything, you have to repay that two times fold, at
Yeah.
least, at least twofold.
Oh
On
my.
top of that, the other thing is this is saying if if something was stolen from you and the thief got away, that's when you're supposed to do some self-reflecting and see if you did any like self-reflecting, which is really just going to the Lord and see if there was anything that you done that was wrongdoings to your neighbor or to other people that would cause that event to happen to you.
Mm.
That makes sense. Because it says, if the thief isn't found, the owner of the house shall come near to God to show whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's property, which is one of the commandments. So
Yeah.
that's like almost saying if you were stolen from and he got away, you have to do some self reflecting and see where did you go wrong
Yeah.
for that to happen to you. It's like karma almost.
To where did that come from? To where your stuff got stolen?
Yeah,
Mm.
like for like what it sounds like is like okay, let's put it in a story, right? So like let's say for example, you have a neighbor because they're talking about neighbors. So let's say you have a neighbor and every time you pass your neighbor, They got this beautiful big yard with all these pigs and cows, and you have your space. It's not as big as your neighbors. You don't have as many animals,
Mhm.
um, but it works for you. But you look at them, and you're like, man, I wish I had what they had. And eventually, over time, that man, I wish I had what they had turns into like, um, like an anger towards them, like
Like
you're
hate.
mad at them for their privilege or something like that, right?
You're really jealous and you're really hating.
Jealousy. There we go.
Yeah.
Jealousy. So over time that turns into jealousy. And now all of a sudden one night, now you got robbed in the night and nobody knows who came and robbed you, where it came from. Nobody saw anything. You just got like now you have, instead of having the couple pigs and horses that you had, now you only got one pig and one horse.
Yeah.
So what it really made me think about is like it's like that, like what the law, what the commandment says, not to desire your neighbor's property. It's like when you put your mind in that mindset and you start looking at, oh, they got more than I do, you start comparing. It's you're looking at the lack of it, and so something naturally is going to come in and bring you more lack. And so you're
Mm,
not appreciative of what you already have, so you're gonna get less.
yeah. Snap.
Yeah. So that's what that made me think of.
um, what was I gonna say? But you understood though too in this paragraph that they were saying that they were basically going to, like, this neighbor gave his other, like, the guy gave his neighbor some valuable things to hold on to, and then basically it's saying that if those things that the person gave them to protect get stolen, then the person who gets caught stealing it um is going to have to pay times two. But if they don't
Mhm.
find nobody, then they're going to assume that it was the neighbor, that who, I mean, not the neighbor, but the person who is holding those valuable goods for his neighbor. They're going to assume it was him, and so they're going to bring it to God and try to get the truth revealed to see if he actually, like, is the one who took it, since there's nobody, since they don't have a criminal person in hand.
Mm. I
I was
mean, either way, it's like self-reflecting.
Yeah, it is. This also got me thinking, girl, all these laws about these slaves is really, it's all sounding like just all the commandments, really.
Yeah.
It's sounding like if you break the commandments, then you're gonna get times two or more
These
the
so these
punishment.
are the punishments of
Yeah.
breaking the commandments. Yeah.
And you're gonna have to do a lot of redeeming and, like you said, reflection, and like good, bring good to redeem yourself. Like, it's gonna take a lot of work. It's gonna take more work to do than where you started, basically, because now you have to repay, um or reconquer yourself, for all the bad that you've been doing
Yeah.
and things you've been stealing and all that stuff.
I just had another thought too. It was in the last chapter how it said laws for slaves. That's what
Mhm.
it said. Laws about slaves. And I just think it's very interesting how specific it is that these are laws about slaves. And it makes me think about, you know, these laws are put in place for a specific mentality, which is like self sabotaging, you pretty much coming against yourself. And so when you do, when you think you're coming against another person or their property, it's really you coming against yourself. And when you do, there's consequences for every action.
Mm. Yes, girl. Mm, mm, mm.
And I feel like the consequences really is to help you grow, learn and grow beyond that slave mentality. That's kind of what I'm
Ooh,
understanding.
girl, speaking of, because what came to my head when you were saying all that is like, let's say when you do approach this big house and you want that big house, right? You want that big house. Like, you're like, dude, like, I should have that. Like, I'm just saying, if jealousy starts to seep into your head and you're saying the thoughts you're having are like, I deserve that house. Like, I need to be in that house. Like, I wish I had that house. Like, you know, and you start questioning stuff like that when instead you should be questioning like, okay, what work do I need to do to get that house? You know,
Mhm.
what what can I do? What can I do better in my life right now that would align me with this house right here? Like, what are the
Mm,
questions I need to ask myself? That's like, right? It's like slave mentality versus uh, a growth mindset mentality. Like
yeah.
you're trying to.
Mm,
And then you got right, and even the criminal mind is gonna be like, okay, how can I break into this house and rob these people? Like, you know. So that's deep.
this is deep. It's
That's
making me think about. It's making me think about. You know. Well, I think I already said it, but it makes me want to go back, read the Ten Commandments again, and talk deeper on them. For
yeah. Ooh, what was that?
girl,
When we
that
started
wasn't
talking
right.
about,
Whatever it was.
listen, we started talking about something so deep, and that just happened right there. And y'all seen it. I know y'all heard that because that was
That
ridiculous.
was scary.
That was crazy. I ain't never even heard nothing like that.
Oh
Girl,
man.
things glitching out.
Hey, they
Things
don't want
glitching
this
out.
heat, bro.
They don't.
Gonna go share these Ten Commandments and get these people out their slave mentality.
For real.
Cause I really, I think about we going through this chapter and I keep thinking about I don't know if y'all listen to Kanye. I'm not a super big Kanye West fan, but he got this one song called New Slaves, bro. And if you
Oh.
ain't never heard it, go listen to it. He's basically talking about, you know, there's the old slaves, how they used to treat black people, and then how they treat black people now, well, especially black people who got money,
Mm,
you know, and it's like they're shoving all these things in your face. They want you to purchase a specific type of like brands
mhm,
to make yourself look like value you're more valuable, make yourself feel like you're more valuable when you're already valuable. And so it's like what he's saying is kind of like the new slave mentality is things have to look and be a certain type of way for you to be able to fit in. And
mm.
those are the new slaves trying to chase that image. And it makes me
Well,
think about like a lot of people nowadays.
oh, that's deep. Because
Yeah,
now, remember what he said in the Bible, the one of the commandments, you should not idol somebody more than God. Like you shouldn't have any other idols except God. And
yeah,
really what people are that have those items, like you're idling them. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? It's basically making the people want to be like them. And it's a
hmm,
hard place to get to. It's just crazy. Like they just have so much money, y'all. Like in a
yeah,
sense where they just don't know what to do with it. They're just buying all kind of stuff and just doing all the extra and the most, you know. And it's like we don't need all that. We don't need all that. Of
yeah,
course, more would be nice, but to that point where they just have so much, it's way more
yeah,
than they even need. Way
yeah,
more than they even need. They just have it. You know what I'm saying? I wonder what people's mindsets be when they do have all that, really behind closed doors. Like how are they sitting with themselves because they have everything they could ever want with all that. So it's like, what do you do now? Like, you know what I'm saying? They're doing stuff they don't even have to do that unless they have some type of contract. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Because you have all that money, you really should just be chilling. But you got
Chilling
people,
or helping, helping bringing other people up. That's what I would imagine.
yeah, but sometimes that ain't how the cookie crumbles.
Not at all.
the only thing that come to my mind are the Kim K, the family, and how they really don't need to be in the public's eye, but they constantly are. They constantly are. And it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I just wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah. I've wondered why a long forever, honestly.
It's not even, they don't even really bring value. They don't. They don't teach people how to get on game, put people on. No, they don't. They come out
It's
with
just for the
drama.
looks and the aesthetics of it all, though. That's really
Yeah.
it. Oh, that's what I was
And
gonna
they
say.
all
It
have
made
their,
me think about. I'm sorry. Go.
oh, just that they all share their launch businesses, and everybody goes by the makeups, the lip gloss, the face care, all that. So I think it's really a branding.
Yeah,
Think of that family as a brand.
that's basically what it is. She learned that the mom learned how to brand and market her daughters
Mhm.
for entertainment and desire,
Yeah.
basically. But I was gonna say too, it makes me also think about what, like you mentioned one of the Ten Commandments. The other Ten Commandment that it makes me think about is the one where when they're talking about um I don't know if this is the same one you were talking about, but where they were talking about you shouldn't you shouldn't worship items. You
Mm,
said people. You shouldn't be
yeah.
worshiping items idly. Idol worshiping? I
Mm,
forget the word now. But you shouldn't be worshiping items and it made me think about when we were talking about it, how we were talking about you like you shouldn't be just creating something just so it can sit there and you can worship it like a physical god or something. And it makes
mm,
me think and I wanted to say this too, made me think about when we're creating something. I think it's not wrong that we create something for like a design or just the looks of it, but I believe that when we're creating things, it's supposed to also carry a purpose in that creation. So it's not supposed to just be like, you know, something that we create just so it can sit on the wall or sit there for the looks. Like it has to have, like, it
oh,
can be for the looks, but it also needs to serve a purpose. And
yeah,
I keep thinking about this, especially now, the season that we're in with Christmas stuff, because everybody's got their I forget what those things are called, the the little mange, the scene where Jesus was born, I forget what it's called.
yeah, I don't know.
But everybody's got their little thing set up that
Mm,
represents the moment where Jesus was born and
mm,
the wise men, or people have got like little decorations in their yards, so all these lights. And it's like I think about it, I'm like, okay, I can understand I can understand like the mange, because it makes people think about Jesus. It makes people take a moment to be appreciative, but like all these lights, especially the big houses with all these lights, like that's just wasting energy, bro. It's just literally wasting energy. What is the purpose? Like you don't even need all these lights.
especially when it's a big house and they just have so many. So
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
them tall palm trees, and I seen a house that had the lights wrapped around all the way to the top.
Oh
It's
wow.
a lot of lights.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
You're right. Um, yeah. When you started talking about like things people hang in their house, it should what was coming to my head too, I think the word you was looking for, like, what are the intentions behind it? Like it has to be a reason and not just have it because you, I don't know, because you think it looks cool or something. I think it should be deeper. Especially when we start, that got me thinking about if you do a walkthrough like to your grandma's house, or to if you had a mom that or parents that had like a lot of stuff, and you just think about walking into that household and you seeing all this stuff, and it really just looked like it's just like a lot or something, or unnecessary,
Yeah.
like it don't really bring value.
Just
Like,
taking
yeah,
up space.
yeah, like it's aesthetically pleasing, but is there a deeper meaning? Like, is there
Yeah.
a quote when you read and it makes you feel good? Or,
Yeah.
is it a nice, some type of I don't know, just like spiritual artwork or something like that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like it has to be doing something for you.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, like
believe.
even if it's artwork, the person that bought it, it should make them feel really joyful, like joy. I
Hmm.
like, but also not to overdo it because you can have a lot of things that bring you joy. So it really has to be, I think, a certain type of joy, a certain type of feeling
Yeah.
in your heart. Like you're
Well,
like,
it's got to be like a deeper meaning for
yeah.
that joy. Like this joy, this brings me joy because
Mhm.
da 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 da. Not just, oh, I just like having items and it brings me so much joy to have a bunch of items. You
Mm.
know?
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So funny. Okay, I think that's where that lady got that inspiration from. I don't know her name, y'all, Marie Kondo or something. This like this lady, and she came out with this book called like Sparks of Joy, and she helps people declutter their houses. And she was like, "Does this bring me joy? Does this bring me happiness? If not, get rid of it." She basically
Mm.
helps society get rid of like people who over hoard things.
Yeah.
If they're not a hoarder, but you literally can accumulate things so fast, and it's like you got too much stuff, and it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Literally
Yeah.
unnecessary. What you got? What you got 3 sets of silverware for? What's the reason? Necessary.
I believe, I think, especially in America, like that is such a huge problem, because people are so just used to going and gathering items. I think about a lot of times, like the, uh, I, I'm not gonna use race. I was going to, but I'm not. But I think about the people who go and just buy Starbucks cups because they look good. They like the aesthetic of it, and now they have this whole cup collection, and they don't use any of them cups, bro. Now they
I'm
got so
glad.
many cups that they don't even have any space to put them.
I'm glad you used that example, bro. I'm glad you used that example because I think that is a popular one. People
Yeah,
be having these cups. I just seen that like 2 times in the month where somebody was showing off some type of space in their bedroom. I'm not looking at all these cups. I'm just like, no, that is so like you could have that shelf cleared and be putting something else in
yeah.
there. Like what? What?
Or another one that I think about is like people like to collect those pop miniature things. You know what I'm talking
Oh
about? Them
yeah.
dolls.
Yeah,
And they'll collect them and keep them in the box and just keep a bunch of boxes everywhere.
and those things are cheap, so that collection will have cost them money for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
But they don't do anything but sit there. It's
It's
just
for
a
dec
collection.
yeah.
Don't teach you no education or nothing.
Like, listen, in my house, y'all, ooh, when I get blessed like that financially, I'm probably the one thing I'll collect are crystals. My house will probably be filled with crystals, and it would bring me all kind of purpose, and it would just cleanse my house, cleanse me
Yeah.
on an energy level. Okay.
But you gotta be careful with crystals too, because I used to think that also. Like, I'm just gonna be collecting. Like, my thing was crystals and tarot decks. Like, I'm gonna just be collecting these because I'm gonna use them. But you also have to just be careful and be aware of like, if you get in too many, or if you're not using them. Like, if there's no purpose for having them. Like,
Oh.
let's say you are in a season where you're using them a lot, and then now you're in a season where you don't really need them.
Mm,
Now you got all these things.
yeah. Yeah.
I think that goes I think that talks too into I don't know what it's called, but the I don't know what it's called, but it's like everything has its time. Everything has a time where it passes.
Yeah.
So like there's seasons. So
Yeah. There
maybe
are.
there's a season where you really needed those crystals and like I said, the tarot decks. And now in the new season, that time has passed and now you don't need them so much anymore.
Yeah. I
Which
think.
makes me oh sorry, go
Oh
ahead.
no, no. Go ahead. Finish your statement.
I was just gonna say, which makes me think that, it makes me think about like And we should be probably like, well, people say like spring cleaning. We should probably be cleaning out each season, and I
Yeah.
think seasons look different for everybody. Like it's not just winter, fall, summer, spring. That's the basic physical seasons, but everybody has their own personal seasons that they go
Mm,
through that don't have a specific timing. And so
snap.
when you enter into a new season, exiting out of an old season, you should be cleansing
Mm,
and removing and letting go of the things from that old season.
that's deep. You know what? It's very interesting. Like, if you practice something, like I know I completely understand what Leo's saying, and I think we all do it. I think we do all do it low key. I think we all do it. And I think, but when we hear somebody say it in that way, like the full, like shed words onto that, it hit different.
Mhm.
It hits different
Yeah.
because she is right. Like during a season of like maybe you had a breakup, or maybe you went through a season of depression, or maybe you went through a season of like your transfer. You're like you're moving jobs, like you're moving. So you know whatever life brings at you. Maybe even if you were sick for like 2 weeks, like and you just wake
Hmm.
up and you don't really plan it like that. Like you might plan it the day before, but you don't really plan it. But you just have this sense of just like being called to clean your house from top to bottom, and you just
Yeah.
start like literally getting down and dirty than you have in a while in your house, right? Like you cleaning
Yeah.
everything from just everything, getting rid of stuff, cleaning things ain't clean in a minute, girl. That hit different, and then you feel really good after you get
Yeah.
done completed that. Your whole house is cleansed. It feels good. The air feels purified. You feel like you can breathe. It hits different, girl. Listen, that's
Yeah.
that
Most
feeling.
definitely.
One of the best feelings. Shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I'm glad you shed some light on that for real. That needed to be.
Yeah.
So, rule
Um,
of right now, what? Get your house cleansed if it ain't clean. Confirmation.
For real. And if you coming out that old season, yeah, make sure you do a deep cleanse.
Mhm.
Cleanse not only your space, but cleanse your aura, your energetic body.
Yes, absolutely. Mm. Throw some essential oil in that mop bucket. You won't regret it.
Hey, this girl right here done taught me a lot about cleaning. I ain't even gonna lie.
Get down in dirty with it. In dirty with it. Ooh, it be hit different. Oh man. Oh, I feel good. Oh,
Hey,
okay.
look, see, even talking about cleansing just makes you feel good.
Girl, I'm feeling good. Like this whole Bible study today just hit different. I came in
Yeah,
kind of like, and now I'm lit. I'm ready to start the
yeah.
day. The
What
word
I
of
was
the
thinking
Holy
too? I'm like,
Spirit.
we barely got through half of this chapter yet, but
No,
we've been had some really important conversations so far. You know,
absolutely.
so this is
Mm,
good.
it's
It's
real
good
good.
stuff.
Mm.
I
Words for
think
the
we should
soul.
get through this though,
Yeah. Where we at? You can lead us wherever we
girl.
are.
I was gonna ask you.
Let me
I
see.
think we're at 9.
9. Yeah.
Okay, I'll lead us. Okay. For every breach of trust, whether it is for an ox, for a donkey, for a sheep, for a cloak, or for any kind of loss, of which one says, "This is it," the case of both parties shall come before God, and one whom God condemns shall pay double to his neighbor. So this is interesting to me though, for the simple fact that wait, what did we just read? Oh, we were talking about if somebody gives somebody else goods to keep safe and then those goods are stolen.
Mhm.
So this makes me think about because they're talking about these people have to come before God and not specifically a judge. And so it makes me think about, like, it makes me think about our judicial system. Like, okay, you got caught, now you got to go to court, but eventually it's like deeper than that. Like, eventually you have to face God, and it says both of them. It says in this case, both parties shall come before God, and the one whom God condemns shall pay double to his neighbor. And so
Mm,
it's like, okay, maybe in the court system, you made it look like it wasn't your fault and you were able to get away from that
mm,
crime. But eventually, you have to face God, you and that other person. You can run away from your crimes. Maybe you got past the judge, but you can't get past the truth from the Lord. And
mhm,
so, excuse me, when it comes down to when you have to face the Lord and the Lord condemns you, you know, I don't
mhm,
know what two times the payment is for you, for your neighbor, but it just made me think about, like, you might be able to run away from the judicial system, but you can't run away from the Lord. Um, but okay, so 10. If a man gives to his neighbor a donkey or an ox or a sheep or any beast to keep safe, and it dies or is injured or is driven away without anyone seeing it, an oath by the Lord shall be between them both to see whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's property. The owner shall accept the oath, and he shall not make restitution. But if it is stolen from him, he shall make restitution to his owner. If it is torn by beasts, let him bring it as evidence. He shall not make restitution for what has been torn. Okay. So this one is basically saying, like, if
damn.
I give you something to keep safe and hold on to it and you lose it, you lose it or it's destroyed or something. You have to you got to make payment. But that if you can prove that, like, it was stolen, or if you can make some kind of proof, show
Mhm,
some proof that it was stolen or that it got destroyed by something else
mhm,
out of your will,
yeah,
then we say you should not make restitution for what has been torn. So then it's not your fault. So basically, if you can show proof that it's not your fault, then you're covered.
mhm,
If a man borrows anything of his neighbor and it is injured or dies, the owner not being with it, he shall make full restitution. If the owner was with it, he shall not make restitution. If it was hired, it came from his hiring fee. Oh, so if it was like a financial trade, if it was a financial trade and it was injured and died or dies or broken or whatever, then the only trade would be taking money. It's like taking money off your check.
mm.
These are a lot of laws, bro.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Okay. Laws about social justice. If a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed and dies with her,
And
he should,
lies with her. Sorry, y'all.
oh, sorry, and lies with her, um, he shall give the birth, he should give the bride price for her and make her his wife. If her father utterly refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money equal to the bride's price for virgins.
Mm. I don't like the way they be talking about virgins, y'all, in this Bible. It always just weird.
This is the first
So
time that they were mentioning that word. Ain't it?
I don't know. They might have put it in a different way, but I could have swore they said somebody like pure or something in this Bible
Oh,
already.
yeah.
Oof.
But I feel like this is fair. Like, if you're gonna go and take somebody's virginity, like, make them a wife. Make that your wife. And if you're not, if the father's like, no, like you tricked my daughter or whatever,
Yeah.
like you have to pay that price
Mhm.
for doing that to that woman.
True.
You shall not permit a sorceress. You shall not permit a sorceress to live.
I
Whoever lies with an animal shall be put to death.
I forgot what a sorceress is. Let me see.
It make me think of like a wizard. So it's pretty
Yeah.
much somebody who knows how to manipulate and make things look like magic.
Oh, I don't have my phone.
So somebody who knows how to manipulate the elements, or you know,
Yeah, I could believe that because that was on
mhm.
Harry Potter.
You shall not permit a sorceress to live.
That's deep though, huh? They're basically telling them
Mhm.
if they find them, they're gonna kill them. But that made me feel like they don't want people to know about the energy, about the manipulation of energy, though.
Oh, yeah. So this made me kind of think about, like, when I was trying to do my tarot business and I was trying to take it serious, and I had met with I was trying to get a business mentor, somebody to help me out. And I was sharing with him what I do, and he was like, "Oh, I don't think I can help you with this. Like, it's outside of my belief." And he pretty much hung up on me very rudely. And I was
Mm,
offended at first because I was like, well, okay, I understand it's not in your belief, but you can at least point me a direction. But now that I understand, now like seeing this is like, if he would have helped me in that area, not having any understanding, people think of like tarot divination, like magic, or witchcraft. That's kind of what this making me think of, like witchcraft. And so you're not supposed to allow or give permission to somebody that you know is intentionally doing witchcraft for them to continue doing witchcraft knowingly. We're not supposed to be doing that. So that's what that made me think of.
I think they should have elaborated on that line, though. I do.
Yeah.
Still.
I mean, I think it's pretty straight to the point. Yeah. But I keep on going. I also thought that 19 was interesting because it's a lot of people that's into bestiality, if you think about it. And that's what that's talking about. Whoever lies with an animal shall be put to death. You ain't supposed to be sleeping with animals.
Ew.
People are into that.
That's nasty.
Yeah. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord alone shall be devoted to destruction. Mm. You shall not wrong a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. You shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child.
Mm.
Ooh, I
That-
think that line right there should be highlighted
yeah.
because, in my personal opinion,
Mm.
it's generations of children that's like that,
Yeah.
fatherless, motherless, and mistreated.
I think it's put in there too because people, the parent could be projecting, you know what I'm saying, the fatherless child. Do you think they're saying no, you think they're saying in general like fatherless child and not that the father died?
I think they're saying in general, like If
Mhm.
you're not supposed to mistreat, it could be that the father died, whether the father died or the father walked away, you
Mhm.
know. You're not supposed to be mistreating the widow or the child. And I think it speaks to the simple fact that, if you look at a family dynamic, the man is supposed to be the leader of the family. He's supposed to be the guidance. He's supposed to be the clear-headed, level-headed, you know, person in the family that everybody goes and depends on and follows his word. And so as a widow or a child, you don't have the father dynamic in the home. The mother has to the widow has to take on that role, especially if she has children. And that's a lot for a woman. It's possible. It's definitely possible, but it's not like, I think it speaks of natural law, like it goes against natural law. And so
Yep.
the woman has extra load that she has to take on,
Mhm.
to play both sides, the father role and the mother role,
Mhm.
and try to figure out how that looks like as a woman. And then also the child being a child, And so basically, I feel like this talks about kind of like struggle, but just like an unfortunate,
Mhm.
and that they're in unfortunate circumstances. You shouldn't be negatively treating them or treating them worse because
Yeah.
they're already in worse circumstances.
Yeah. I feel like what's crazy too about this line though is it, like you said, like the women has to carry on more roles, more responsibility, uh
Mhm.
stress and stuff like that. And but it also has me thinking though, like this line is probably, a lot towards the mom as well, because sometimes, parents will project their stresses onto their kids too. So they're talking
Yeah.
about strangers in this child's life and their or family members. And they're also talking about, the parents too. Like the mom needs to be included in this line, unfortunately. Like
Yeah.
this is something that, it happens,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I
Yeah.
just say that.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Hmm. Okay.
If you do mistreat them and they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry, and
Mm,
my wrath will burn, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall become widows, and your children fatherless.
mm,
Oh, so it's like if you mistreat a widow and a child, a fatherless child, your payment is your life, so that the people around you have to experience that same thing.
yeah.
It's deep.
That is really deep.
But look, I feel like this goes even deeper because, okay, I think about when anytime you're talking about a sword, okay, we could talk about like an actual sword, like the lawyers talk about, okay, if you go off and do this, your punishment is death by sword, right? But I feel like also when you're talking about a sword, at least this is my understanding from tarot, right? When you're talking about a sword, a lot of times a sword, they talk about the pen is mighty as a sword too. So it's talking about your words. It's talking about like verbal words, how they say words cut deep, you
Mhm.
know? And so I feel like this is put like, okay, so maybe it's death by an actual sword, but maybe it could also be what I'm thinking about with why these people why in our new generation there's so many um fathers that are not like active in children's lives, is because of the words that are coming towards them, the words that they hear cut them to a point where they don't they don't know how to be a father to their children, or a father to their or a husband to their wives. They don't know how to actively stay in the home.
Mm,
Whatever words have been said were words that mentally remove the man from the home foundation. I
Mm.
feel like this is I feel like this is speaking onto now times.
Yeah. Girl, I thought that's what you were saying right now. Like, uh,
Yeah, that is
yeah,
what I was saying, but I just like it connected and it made it deeper by that word sword. Because it's like you could think of an actual sword dying by an actual sword, but what if it's not like necessarily
physical.
like a physical death? Yeah, what if it is like a spiritual death where now you don't know how to be in a family dynamic? So you're
Yeah.
out here having kids, getting people pregnant, and the woman that doesn't have a man to help run the household, but she has children, is considered, maybe she doesn't have, maybe she was never married, or maybe she doesn't have, um, or maybe they got a divorce, whatever, but she's considered a widow, whether he died or not. She's considered a widow, and the child's just a fatherless child, lost and confused.
Dang. Deep.
Yeah. If you lend money to any of my people, um, with you who is poor, you should not be like a money lender to him. You should not exact interest. You should not exact interest from him. If ever you take your neighbor's cloak and pledge, you should return it to him before the sun goes down, for that is his only covering, and it is his cloak for his body. And what else shall he sleep? And if he cries to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate.
Hold on. When they talked about that money lender stuff, y'all, it basically was like, don't take money from poor people. Don't loan people who are poor money and try to give them interest when they already can't afford the money that they got to pay back. Girl, this got me thinking of all these payday loan places and cash one places and all this stuff. And they taxing on folks who are poor and vulnerable. And
Don't even have money.
mm,
Put them in more debt. Yeah.
mm, but yeah. Mm.
Oh, so if you lend money to poor people, you shouldn't be putting interest on it.
So that tells us all these banks and stuff is really breaking commandments out here.
Girl, that make me think about this car note. I'm about to return this car.
I don't blame you,
Send
girl.
it back.
After the problems you don't have with it, I don't blame you.
Girl. um, you should not revive God nor curse a ruler of your people. No, revile. Now I need to look up what this word means. Revile.
This chapter is deep, man. I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
reread this.
Yeah, for real. So
Like,
revile means to criticize in an abusive or angrily insulting manner.
mm,
Oh, so okay. So basically, you're not supposed to come to God and be like, God, which I feel like I'm guilty of this. I feel like I just recently did this. You ain't supposed to come to God and be like, God, you ain't ish. And I don't know why you got us going through all this BS
ooh,
and um this
ooh,
now whatever. Or
yeah.
if like for the president, we ain't supposed to be sitting here like talking down or talking doom over the president
Mm,
as an example. And
well,
I feel like this is something definitely to work on. I definitely broke this law. I didn't say necessarily what I just said. Like I had a moment of weakness. I was going through a lot of emotions.
yeah.
And when I have a hard time, I do question, which I don't think there's nothing wrong with questioning, but I think it's the approach and how you question.
Mhm.
And so when I get frustrated and I go to God, I do question him. Like, I'd be like, this this life is too heavy, too much of a burden for me. Like, I don't know why you would put me through this. Like, a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes, especially when I'm in a deep emotional state, I'll
Mhm.
I'll sit there and I'll tell Lord, like, you know, just take this from me. Like, like everybody's out here fighting for a soul. That's what I said the other day. Everybody's out here fighting for a soul. The Lord's fighting for a soul. The devil's fighting for a soul. It ain't even worth it. It ain't even worth it. Why we got to go through this life like this constant back and forth of good and evil, you know?
Mm.
And I believe this thing is saying that's not what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
We're
that's
not
deep,
supposed to.
girl.
So
Yeah.
I had to just calm myself
'Cause
out
then
real quick because I sure
yeah,
just did that.
'cause to me, then yeah, you're questioning God's, his power, his sacrifice, his judgment.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry you was feeling that low in that type of place to
Yeah.
have to, be in that state. Um,
It's
yeah.
okay. Because even I feel like we're not supposed to do that, but even in them states, like to me, what it is, what I think of it, well, what in that moment, I see Dallas, this is real, but me and Allah, but in that moment, the way I was looking at it is this is just me coming to the Lord vulnerable and honest about my situation and how I feel,
Mhm.
and I think that's important, like to just express authentically and just be honest and real about what you're feeling and how you really
Yeah.
feel, like to bring it to the Lord how you really feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way I was just looking at it at the time. Like this is how I feel for real. Like it's just hard.
Mm.
And I feel like personally though, like the more you can learn how to be vulnerable and honest. Of course, now I know that there's a different way to do it. Like I need to work on my approach,
Mhm.
right? So the more that you start learning to be vulnerable and honest with the Lord about the good times and the bad times, the uplifting and the hardships, the more you can be open and vulnerable, the more the Lord can build that deeper connection with you, you know.
And you can always
Mhm.
like repent, you can always ask for forgiveness in that
Yeah.
moment and
Yeah.
how you came at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
Which
all
I
right.
did too.
Mm.
I do too. Like I know I'm coming at you messed up right now, but this is how I feel, bros.
Yeah. All
But
right.
okay, let
Go ahead.
me finish this.
Yeah.
You shall not delay to offer from the fullness of your harvest and from the outflow of your presses. The firstborn of your son you shall give to me. You shall do the same with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall be with his mother. On the eighth day you shall give it to me. You shall be consecrated to me. Uh, yeah, you shall be consecrated to me. Therefore, you shall not eat any flesh that is torn by beasts in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs.
This is the second time they said that.
Yeah. Um, this is the second time they brought up the firstborn. And so I guess what ran through my mind real quick was
Ooh.
uh
Girl, as a vegetarian looking at this had me looking at it like, girl, the way they talking about other people processing your meat too. Like just thinking of them as beasts. Like you got a person you don't know who killed this animal for you and who processed it and who packaged it and sold it to you to eat and consume. Girl,
yeah,
anybody could have did that. did your meat. They could have been looking like they wasn't even from here and packaged that meat to sell it to you. You don't even know.
You don't know what you actually eating.
You don't know what you're eating, but you also don't know who prepared it for you either. I don't know how we
Yeah,
became okay with that. I really don't. Cause it's meat and it's like also you don't know when that animal died and how long it's been packaged. You don't know what the time frame is between the death of that animal and when they sold it to you. And
yeah,
what and how it's been stored and sitting. Was it frozen, thawed out for a minute, put back in the freezer, thawed out?
yeah.
Was it sitting somewhere in some freaking semi truck for who knows how long? Ooh, and
Mm,
then all that meat is in one spot, and you know the Lord said you can't be eating meat. You can't eat meat with blood because it's like the life force thing. And it's like that's a lot of energy of dead meat being stored in one area that you don't even know what's going on um with this stuff. I don't know. I'm just thinking about a bunch of dead meat from different animals and it's all together. It's really a lot of
yeah.
deaths in that semi truck.
All I can think about is the smell.
Ooh, it must stink in there. It must stink. Even if it's cool, even if it's refrigerated, it must stink. And then mm, let me not even disturb people who's eating meat. I would just stop. I'm gonna just stop.
Well, I was gonna say, about the firstborn. It made me think about something I heard about before, where it's like, you know, you gave birth to that child, but that child doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the Lord. And that's what they were saying here. Like the first 7 days, the child should be with the mother, and on the eighth day, you should give it to me. And I don't, it's not to be sacrificed because they did say before to redeem the child, but sacrifice the first ox or goat or whatever, like sacrifice the first animal, but to redeem the child. So I feel like that goes back towards, okay, so you got the first 7 days to build that relationship or, really nurture your baby after it's
Yeah,
born.
fill it with
But
love.
at a certain point, maybe you're supposed to go and get it circumcised, or you're supposed to go and present it to the Lord, like maybe put the baby on an altar and, like do your worship or whatever, you know, your burnt offerings and stuff with the baby.
Cleansing the baby with water.
Yeah.
Water.
Hmm. Yeah. That's what that made me think of.
Hmm.
It just made me think of that line that I heard before, which was like your children don't belong, because it makes me think about like, like parents, they'd be like, "This my baby, this my child." And it's like your child doesn't belong to you; it belongs to the Lord. Everything belongs to the Lord. You don't even belong to you; you belong to the Lord.
Mm.
So
For some
yeah.
reason, you said that too. It had me thinking, like, the child don't really belong to you; it belongs to the Lord. And it's like the way some parents, have treated their kids, like they're just like another, like they your slave basically. Like, go do this, go do that, do
Hmm.
this, do that, do this, do that, and it's beyond like a normal chore description. Like it's more like your servant, your little
Yeah.
servant. Like
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up too,
kid.
because I just noticed now that they don't talk about child servants or slaves. They don't talk about that at all. They talk about a woman and a man being sold as slaves, not children.
Yeah. You know what? They really haven't talked about a lot of like children like that, except how to treat them. And it seemed like the kids are pretty free in the Bible. Like, and they just mentioned like the sacrifice thing. They don't really say, like you said, just to give it to the Lord, but not like sacrifice the kid like that, like to
Yeah.
death.
Yeah. Which I kind of just think, like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking maybe they don't talk about the child so much because the child just kind of doesn't really have a choice. They're learning still. So they just can't get to experience their environment, you know?
Mhm.
So let's say if a child was born into slavery, I'm saying they're not supposed to be slaves. They're just experiencing that as slaves. Like they don't actually know what's happening, but they have to go through that because that's the circumstances they were born into,
Mhm.
which kind of sucks as a child where you were born into.
Oh, of course, girl.
Hmm.
Born into some chaos. It
Yeah,
is. But I do think there's a reason, on why that just had to be like that, unfortunately.
yeah.
Oof. I'm not even gonna open that, but something really came into my mind, man, during this stuff. And it's just crazy. But it's way too long to discuss.
Save it for tomorrow.
Yeah, I low key might make a video about it. I can't lie. And discuss it. But it's definitely about being born into the family. Like what, just reflecting on, why it could be that we were born into a situation.
Yeah,
And it's a deep conversation. But that's all I got, girl. I think we
that's
should
all
wrap
I got.
on.
It's been a great life.
Let me do a quick prayer with it real quick. Excuse
Pray
me.
us out of here, girl.
Lord, Lord, Lord God, I pray to you in this moment. I ask, first, I say I'm so thankful for the wisdom and the knowledge that you have given me and Lleo, to reflect on and absorb and to spread unto your people and to also just spread into ourselves as we move forward, Lord. Um, we are very grateful for these reflections. And I just am so thankful. I'm thankful for everything that I have and everything that has come into me. I ask that you remind your people to be grateful for what it is that they have, even if it doesn't seem like a lot in this moment to them. Just remind them to be very grateful for what they have and
Hmm.
to continue to work in your image, Lord, that you guided us to be, and to, remind us to walk into our purpose, to what brings us happiness and joy. Because overall, that's the best path to walk into, so that we can receive all our blessings that you have intended for us to receive from you, Lord. And I just ask that you continue to give us that energy, Lord, during these times, during the end of this year, as time is moving forward. Things are starting to unveil and unravel, and things are starting to become a little tougher, because there's a big blessing ahead of us, and to remind us to be patient and remind us to see the bigger picture, remind us to be strong, so that we can navigate through the hurdles that are happening right now, so that we can be stronger after these battles, after these hurdles, these obstacles in our way, so we can come out a lot tougher with a lot more wisdom, Lord. And I just ask you again to just continue to give us the energy and the strength to persevere and to allow us to do, God's work, God's plan for what you have in stored for us. Um, and just continue to heal us, Lord. Heal us, put a hand on our bodies, and give us the healing energy that our body needs to continue on, so that we can be restored, we can be pain free, disease free, and just function our let our body function the way that you intended for us, Lord. Um, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Mm,
Thank you
okay.
for that prayer, girl. That's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Stay blessed, everybody. Stay blessed.
Bye.